gonna put it up like this.
Here's the family doing their Operation Christmas Child boxes.
Can I open the fidget spinner to save room?
No.
Alright. I'm gonna
Hold
open
on.
The kids' stuff to play with.
We're gonna try and keep everything wrapped, and if we have to, then we're gonna open packages.
Here, I'll put the fidget spinner in a little after, so it'll go like this.
That's cool.
We're definitely gonna have to open this even. Who had the...
Me! That was me! I'm gonna put the puzzle in first because it's like my biggest thing in here. I don't think I'll have enough room for the puzzle.
I'm confused.
Hi. Piper has the flashing one and I have the...
Welcome back to the ranch, friends. I wanted to take a moment this morning to share my excitement with you. I was out doing the barn chores and feeding the chickens and just the regular routine, and I looked over in the pine shavings and I saw something very exciting. For those of you that are new to our channel, we just started with chickens 2 years ago, so everything has been a learning experience up to this point, and we've done a lot of experimentation. And we have this hen. Her name is Penelope. She is a white silky, and she was that baby chick that was kind of slated to not make it. She was really little, really frail. She had pasty butt, of course, and she just took a lot of hands-on care. She came with our first batch of chicks, so I didn't really know what I was doing. I did the best I could based on the information that I had gleaned from YouTube and from Google, and just kind of loved on her and nursed her. She ended up surviving, and she is still tiny in comparison to everybody else. It's funny to watch her just kind of scurry around in the coop and try to avoid being stepped on. The funny thing, though, is that she became my very best broody hen and mama. She's a terrific mama. She really takes care of her babies, so much so that even when they're big, they don't want to leave her. I had one of her babies that was good sized, full grown, and he would just do anything he could to make his way back into the broody stall just so he could be next to her and snuggle with her. This is what I'm talking about. Came out to check on the chicks, collect some eggs. And who would you think got himself over that fence and in the pen with Mama? He's just sitting here. So she's just been a really great mama. She will sit on those eggs until they hatch. So fast forward to today, we have hatched about 8 babies out from under her, and they were all mixed breeds. We had an Easter egger rooster, and we had a little white silky rooster. And then we just had, Easter egger hens, Moran hens, Buff Orpingtons. We have a few speckled Sussex and some salmon Faverolles, I think is what they're called. So I would just pick out some eggs that I thought were really nice. The majority of the eggs I picked out were Moran eggs because I love the Morans and the Easter eggers. I just wanted to see what would come of those eggs and what these mixed breeds would be like. So this morning, as I am out doing my barn chores, I go out to the coop and we have our very first pullet egg from these babies that Penelope hatched out. And I am excited to say we have an olive egger, our first olive egger. So to give you an idea, here's my Easter egger eggs. And here is my first olive egger egg. I have no idea which hen laid this egg. I don't know what egg she came from, whether it was a Moran or an Easter egger. But because an Easter egger is essentially a mixed breed, I had no idea what was going to come from them. They could have just been light brown, which would have been fine. I mean, an egg is an egg, but we are really excited to get this little guy here. So our first olive egger, and hopefully more to come next spring, now that I've kind of played around with hatching these babies and have such a great broody. I'm thinking about getting more into breeding Morans because I really love the black copper Morans. So I think I'm going to be ordering some hatching eggs and try to hatch a few of those out, and then keep a Moran rooster and continue to breed those. For those of you that don't know, the black copper Morans lay those really dark brown eggs that are almost have a reddish hue to them. And I had 2 Moran hens, and unfortunately my favorite one was lost in a tragic accident. She got rolled up in some barbed wire, and it just, it took her out. So I have 1 left, and I would like to have a lot more of those. But anyways, we're really excited. I love my mixed breeds. In fact, I have the coolest rooster that came out of those mixed breeds. He is a mix between Papa the White Silky and Ethel the Moran. And we named him Oz. Yes, we named him. We're keeping him. He is the most beautiful rooster. And he's really gentle because by nature, Silkies and Morans are a fairly docile bird. So he's really gentle. He doesn't fight with anybody. He's beautiful. So I'm going to continue playing around with his genetics and see what kind of cool little mixed breeds I get from him. So we'll see how that goes. But just wanted to share with you guys, we were really excited to get our olive eggs. So now we have our light browns, our pinkish from the salmons, our Easter eggers, our Morans, and now our olive eggers. Yay! So good stuff. So we have a few cool things coming to the ranch, and we're using this downtime in the winter to really start planning and preparing for next spring. I think we're going to be doing a lot more building as opposed to homesteading, I guess, gardening. All of that is kind of taking a back seat this year to begin the building process of our youth camp. As I've stated before, the animals that we brought to the farm, the gardens, all of these things that we're learning, they're going to be incorporated into the youth camp, and we're going to be working with these children, just kind of teaching them the things that we have been learning. So this year the theme of the ranch has unfolded, and to be honest with you, I didn't know the ranch was going to have a theme. I just assumed we were going to be a ranch with animals and horses and gardens and things, zip lines and rock walls and fun things for the kids to do. But actually the Lord gave us a theme. He's given us the theme of the Wizard of Oz, which really, when you think about it, he gave us the name Rainbow Valley Ranch. And so the Wizard of Oz just kind of makes a lot of sense, somewhere over the rainbow.
We must be over the rainbow.
One day I was in prayer and he was talking to me about this theme, and I kind of dismissed it the same way I dismissed the name. I just thought that sounded kind of goofy, and honestly, and I wasn't really sure if this generation even knows what the Wizard of Oz is anymore, although they are remaking these movies, so I think that they've been introduced to the good old classics. But I couldn't really understand why we would do that. And so all I heard from him was, this ranch is for children and it needs to be fun, obviously. So our focus this year is fun. He's given us kind of a layout of the different areas that we're going to be building, one of which is a new garden area. It's really going to be just a beautiful space. It's going to be themed after the Emerald City, so we're calling it the Emerald City Garden, and I'll show you guys more of this as we go along and continue to build. But the premise is there's going to be a courtyard in the center, kind of just a relaxing hangout for the kids, also a place where they're going to be learning about, cultivating and growing things. And of course that all has its symbolism as far as the word goes, is seed time and harvest. So there will be a lot of teaching about that in that area.
Now which way do we go?
Pardon me. That way is a very nice way.
Each character has its own theme. So there's of course going to be the Scarecrow, and he's going to be that area is going to be designated to, wisdom and coming to the knowledge of Christ. And then we have our fruit garden that we've been building, and we've known for a long time that that was going to be an area where we begin to teach about the fruits of the Spirit and really focusing in on the fruit of love. And so, of course, what better character for that area than the Tin Man? We're also going to have an area. Mark's biggest dream since we moved here was we had to have a zip line. If nothing else, we had to have a zip line. Didn't care about the chickens, didn't care about the animals, didn't care about the garden, but we had to have a zip line. So eventually, when we build a zip line, that is going to be traveling down to the ravine on our property, which there used to be a pond there. It's kind of dried up. But it's just a fun little area where you kind of feel secluded from everything else. You can't really see any other houses around. And that is going to be the lions area. So we're going to be talking about courage and spiritual warfare in that area. We're going to have, archery and just a lot of things going on over there. But it's just been unfolding. As we begin to build, he gives us the next piece. So we're taking this winter to really plan that out. We do plan on building some tiny homes. These tiny homes are going to serve as cabins for our volunteer counselors. I know that some people will be traveling a long way to participate in these camps, and so we want a comfortable place for them to stay. So we thought, what better place to put tiny homes than in Munchkin Land? So there's going to be a little Munchkin Land designated for that area. In the off season, when we're not using those tiny cabins for our counselors, we're thinking about doing some Airbnb to help raise funds for the ranch. This is a really great area to do that, being that people that travel with their horses need a place to put their horses up. So I'm also going to be spending this winter working a lot more with the horses. We have worked with them since they've come. They're both very young. Indigo is 3 years old and Crystal is 2 years old, so they haven't been worked with. They're not trained. And some people thought we were a little bit out of our gourd getting 2 young horses that were not trained and being inexperienced. But one thing that we have come to realize over the years of walking with the Lord is when he tells you go, you go. It doesn't matter how crazy it sounds. And so we had absolute peace and confirmation that these horses were the horses for this property. It's not something I would recommend to anyone, just to go out and buy some young horses that are untrained when you've never owned a horse before. But this was something that we really knew the Lord was leading us to do for these particular horses. And that has really proved to be true, because their mannerisms, they're so gentle. They're especially gentle with the kids, and that's exactly what we needed. So I have been working with the horses. I've been doing a lot of research. I have incredible neighbors that have offered to help, which I am definitely going to be taking them up on when the time comes to actually start the process of training them for trail riding. Right now, I'm just working on their basic care needs. So, lifting their feet, they didn't do that. We had a farrier out here, and bless his heart, he almost broke his back trying to trim our horses' feet. And so Mark and I decided, that's not going to happen again. We're not going to put somebody in that kind of danger. So we have really spent a lot of time working with their feet, getting them to lift them, getting them to hold them up. And that is a process. So especially when you're working with 2 young horses. So I've been spending a lot of time this winter. I felt like winter was a great time to work with the horses because we have downtime. We're not working on the gardens, and we're not building. Everything has kind of come to a halt. Plus, the horses, I feel like they respond better. It's not hot. They're not roaming around the property as much. They're hanging out at the barn more. So it's been a really good time for us to connect with them and begin learning together. And so we're going to be taking some footage of what we've been learning each step of the way. We're just taking it at our pace. We're taking it slow. We're taking it at a pace that we can handle and we feel the horses can handle without damaging our relationship with them. So just spending a lot of time loving on them, grooming them, just making them feel like they're in a very safe space when we come out to the barn. And so far it's been working great for us. So there's a little update for you about what's going on at the ranch and how we're proceeding forward. I do foresee getting a few more animals to kind of give that full farm feel, I guess. Just some animals that the kids feel comfortable being around. So Nigerian goats are definitely on the agenda. Whether we ever milk them or not, I'm not sure. I'm sure we will. But definitely are moving towards the goats. They require quite a bit of care. They're a bit fickle from my understanding, so I'm waiting a little bit on them. And we are also looking at potentially breeding our potbelly. Now that our little rogue Tilly is fenced in, she's going to need a friend. And so we thought we'll go ahead and breed her, keep one of the babies, sell the rest. So that's coming. That'll be a lot of fun. I've heard that the whole breeding of pigs can be quite challenging, so I'm up for the challenge. We'll see how it goes, and I'll take you along. So lots to do here, lots to build, lots of work, but I wouldn't have it any other way. We're excited to see this place grow. I mean, we've only been here for 2 years, and I feel like it's really coming along. When I look out at the property, I can just see the kids playing. I can see the counselors mentoring. I can see the events being held. We have a pavilion on the agenda that's going to be attached to the children's play area. And that pavilion is where a lot of things are going to take place. So not only just for the camps, but for special events and, you know, things that we have going on as kind of a community outreach. So really excited about the year ahead and what God's going to do. He just continues to give us new vision, new insight, and we're just excited because we know we can't do it. So we know He's going to make it happen the way He wants it to happen and the timing that He wants it to happen in. So really I spent a good part of this 2 years just calming myself down. It was like, you know, the Lord brought us here and I was ready to go. But I also have a family to raise and children to homeschool, so slowing that pace down. I think I made the same mistake that every person does when they get their piece of property. It's like, farm now. And that's just not how it works. Every one of these animals requires special attention, require their own type of husbandry, and you have to learn every individual animal, every individual plant. And you also have to learn your land. You have to learn where water settles. You have to learn what kind of predators are an issue in your area. So there's so many things just to scope when you get on your property that if you jump right out the gate and start building, you're going to be tearing down and rebuilding and tearing down and rebuilding. And so that's what I do not want for 2019 is to do any more tearing down and rebuilding of fencing. So we're going to take some time and do a little bit more planning and praying. So thanks for coming along with us on our journey, those of you that have joined us. We're excited to have you here, and we're excited to take you along on this adventure with us. And it just is more meaningful to me to share it with somebody than to keep it all to myself. So thanks for being interested. Thanks for watching, and God bless you. Have a great day.